Before the legend, before the khaki shorts, before the catchphrases that echoed around the world, there was just Steve. A boy forged in the wild heart of Australia. His story isn't just one of a TV icon. It's a testament to the power of a childhood steeped in nature, fueled by passion, and guided by the unwavering belief that every creature, no matter how fearsome, deserves respect. Born in Eston, Victoria, in 1962, Stephen Robert Irwin wasn't raised on cartoons and video games. His playground was the bush, his companions were reptiles, and his teachers were his parents, Bob and Lynn Irwin. Now, Bob wasn't your average dad. He was a herpetologist, a man dedicated to the study of reptiles and amphibians. Lynn, equally passionate, was a wildlife rehabilitator, nursing injured animals back to health. Their home wasn't just a house. It was a sanctuary, a bustling hub of scales, feathers, and fur. Imagine a young Steve, barely able to walk, surrounded by snakes, lizards, and orphaned kangaroos. Most kids would run screaming, but for Steve, it was home. He was practically raised in a reptile enclosure. At the age of 6, while other kids were learning to ride bikes, Steve was wrestling freshwater crocodiles with his dad. Not in a cruel or exploitative way, mind you. It was a careful dance, a lesson in understanding an animal's power and respecting its boundaries. Bob and Lynn didn't just teach Steve about animals. They instilled in him a deep sense of responsibility. They taught him that fear was the enemy of understanding, that every creature, even the most dangerous, had a vital role to play in the ecosystem. This wasn't just about knowing the difference between a python and a taipan. It was about developing a profound empathy for all living things. In 1970, the Irwins took their passion one step further. They packed up their lives and moved to Queensland, opening the Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park, a small, family-run operation that would eventually become the world-famous Australia Zoo. This wasn't just a business venture. It was a mission. A place where people could connect with wildlife, learn about conservation, and maybe, just maybe, shed some of their preconceived notions about the creatures that shared our planet. The park became Steve's kingdom. He didn't just work there, he lived there. He slept beside crocodiles, hand-fed snakes, and knew each animal by name. They weren't just exhibits, they were family. He saw their individual personalities, their quirks, their vulnerabilities. He understood that these were animals that had been displaced, misunderstood, and often persecuted. And he became their champion. As Steve grew older, his skills and his reputation grew with him. He wasn't just a zookeeper. He was a local wildlife expert, called upon to rescue injured animals, relocate problematic crocodiles, and educate the public about the importance of conservation. He developed a unique, hands-on approach, often diving headfirst into situations that most people would run from. His signature move was crocodile relocation. Now, back in the day, problem crocs were often simply shot. But Steve had a better idea. He would track down these magnificent creatures, often in murky, croc-infested waters, and wrestle them by hand, carefully securing them with ropes before transporting them to safer locations, away from human populations. This wasn't some reckless stunt. It was a carefully calculated operation, born from years of experience and a deep understanding of crocodile behavior. He knew their weaknesses, their triggers, and how to anticipate their movements. He respected their power, but he wasn't afraid. He saw himself as a mediator, bridging the gap between humans and these ancient predators. Imagine the sight, a young Steve Irwin, covered in mud, wrestling a massive saltwater crocodile, all muscle and teeth, with nothing but a rope and his bare hands. It was a scene straight out of a movie, but for Steve, it was just another day at the office. He did it not for fame or fortune, but because he believed it was the right thing to do. He saw it as his responsibility to protect these animals and ensure their survival. These early experiences shaped Steve into the wildlife warrior the world would come to know and love. He learned to trust his instincts, to think on his feet, and to never back down from a challenge. He developed a unique blend of knowledge, courage, and unwavering enthusiasm that would become his trademark. He was more than just a snake handler or a crocodile relocator. He was a passionate advocate for wildlife, a voice for the voiceless, and a force of nature in his own right. And as the years passed, Steve's passion and dedication would only grow stronger, eventually leading him to share his love for wildlife with the world, transforming him from a local hero into an international icon. But at his core, he was always that same kid, wrestling crocodiles with his dad, driven by a deep love for the natural world and an unshakable belief that every creature deserves our respect. This was the foundation upon which the legend of Steve Irwin was built, a wild childhood that forged a wildlife warrior ready to take on the world, one crikey at a time. Crikey. The name itself became synonymous with untamed enthusiasm, a brand of infectious joy that swept across the globe, like a bushfire. But the Crocodile Hunter wasn't just a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon, a seismic shift in how the world perceived wildlife, all thanks to one man, Steve Irwin. Before the global stage, before the khaki shirts and the signature cap, there was a genuine passion burning bright. Steve, raised in the heart of the Queensland outback, had a deep-seated connection to the natural world. Nurtured by his parents, Bob and Lynn Irwin, who ran a small reptile park. This wasn't just a business. It was a sanctuary, a place where orphaned and injured animals found refuge, and where young Steve developed an unparalleled understanding and respect for creatures often misunderstood and feared. While kids his age were playing sports, Steve was wrestling crocs with his dad, of course. He wasn't taught to fear these magnificent predators, but to understand their behavior, their needs, and their vital role in the ecosystem. This hands-on experience, this intimate knowledge, would become the foundation of his life's work. The Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park, later to become Australia's zoo, was Steve's playground, his classroom and his proving ground. He learned to handle snakes with confidence, relocate crocodiles with skill, and educate visitors with passion. He wasn't just showing animals, he was introducing them, giving them a voice, and fostering a sense of wonder in everyone who crossed his path. Then came the show. The Crocodile Hunter exploded onto television screens in 1996, and the world had never seen anything like it. Here was this wildly energetic Aussie, bounding through the bush, wrestling crocs, and exclaiming "crikey" at every turn. It was raw, it was real, and it was utterly captivating. But it wasn't just the high-octane action that drew viewers in. It was Steve's genuine love for animals, his infectious enthusiasm, and his unwavering commitment to conservation. He didn't just talk about protecting wildlife, he lived it. He put himself on the line day after day to rescue animals, educate the public, and raise awareness about the threats facing our planet's biodiversity. And let's not forget Terry. In 1992, Steve met Terry Raines, an American naturalist, and it was, as they both described it, love at first sight. Terry wasn't just Steve's wife. She was his partner in every sense of the word. Together, they formed an unstoppable force for conservation. A dynamic duo who shared a vision of a world where humans and animals could coexist in harmony, together. Steve and Terry transformed Australia's zoo into a world-class sanctuary, a testament to their dedication and vision. It wasn't just a place to see animals. It was an immersive experience. A place where visitors could connect with wildlife on a personal level and learn about the importance of conservation firsthand. They poured every dollar earned back into conservation efforts, funding wildlife warriors, saving habitats across Asia and Africa, and establishing breeding programs for endangered species. Their commitment was unwavering, their passion infectious. Steve and Terry understood the power of education. They knew that, to protect wildlife, you had to change hearts and minds, and they did it through their television shows, their documentaries, their public appearances, and their tireless advocacy. They made conservation cool, they made it accessible, and they made it fun. The Crocodile Hunter wasn't just entertainment, it was education disguised as adventure. Steve made people care about crocodiles, about snakes, about all the creatures that crawl, swim, and fly on this planet. He showed us that even the most dangerous animals deserve our respect and protection. His message was simple: conservation. Through education, he believed that if people understood and appreciated wildlife, they would be more likely to protect it. He wanted kids to grow up seeing crocodiles as magnificent creatures, not as monsters. He wanted adults to see sharks as vital components of the ocean ecosystem, not as mindless killing machines. Steve and Terry's family grew, and their children, Bindi and Robert, were raised in the heart of the zoo, surrounded by animals and immersed in their parents' conservation work. They weren't just kids. They were the next generation of wildlife warriors, learning from their parents and carrying on their legacy. But despite the global fame, despite the millions of viewers, Steve remained grounded, humble, and utterly authentic. He was still the same bloke who wrestled crocs in the outback, who rescued snakes from suburban backyards, who spoke to animals as if they were his friends. He never lost his passion, his enthusiasm, or his unwavering commitment to conservation. He was a true original, a force of nature, a man who lived life to the fullest and inspired millions to do the same. He taught us that you don't need to be afraid of the wild. You need to respect it, understand it, and protect it. Steve Irwin wasn't just a TV star. He was a conservation icon, a wildlife ambassador, and a role model for generations to come. His legacy is a reminder that one person with passion, dedication, and a healthy dose of crikey can make a world of difference. He showed us that living on the edge is okay, as long as you're doing it for something you believe in. And for Steve, that something was protecting the incredible wildlife and wild places of our planet. The date was September 4th, 2006, a day that began like any other in Port Douglas, Queensland, Australia. The sun kissed the Coral Sea, promising another day of vibrant life on the Great Barrier Reef. But this day would be etched in history, not for its beauty, but for its devastating loss. Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, the wildlife warrior, the man who stared danger in the face with a grin, would take his final dive. Steve was there, filming Ocean's Deadliest, a documentary that aimed to showcase the ocean's most formidable creatures. Ironically, the weather had other plans. Rough seas had put a hold on filming the main sequences, the ones featuring the truly dangerous marine animals. Steve, never one to waste a day, decided to shoot some B-roll footage, those scenic filler shots that add visual texture to a documentary. Harmless stuff. Just Steve, in his element, gliding through the water, showcasing the reef's beauty. His longtime cameraman, Justin Lyons, was with him. Justin had seen Steve take on crocodiles, snakes, and all manner of dangerous beasts. This B-roll dive was supposed to be a walk in the park, or rather, a swim in the shallows. They hopped into an inflatable boat and headed out to Bat Reef, a picturesque spot teeming with marine life. The water was crystal clear, visibility seemingly endless. They slipped into the water, equipped with snorkels, fins, and cameras. The plan was simple: capture footage of Steve swimming over the reef, with rays and turtles adding to the visual splendor. As Steve and Justin explored the underwater landscape, they spotted a large, magnificent creature resting on the sandy seabed. A short-tailed stingray, Pastinaceus brevicordata, a creature of impressive size, spanning nearly 8 feet across. Now, stingrays, while possessing a venomous barb, are generally docile creatures. Steve had encountered them countless times. He knew how to approach them, how to respect their space. Justin started filming. Steve circled the stingray slowly, maintaining a safe distance, giving it a clear path to escape. The stingray, seemingly unbothered, remained still, its wings gently undulating. The scene appeared tranquil, a testament to Steve's calm demeanor and his deep understanding of animal behavior. But beneath the surface of that serenity, an unforeseen tragedy was brewing. Unbeknownst to Steve and Justin, the stingray was exhibiting subtle signs of distress. Later analysis by animal behaviorists suggested that the ray's tail was slightly raised, an almost imperceptible indication of discomfort. The combination of the presence of 2 humans and the confined space might have triggered a defensive response. It was a split-second misinterpretation, a tragic confluence of events that would alter the course of history. Steve, wanting to capture a stunning shot, decided to swim over the stingray, a Passover shot, as filmmakers call it. It was a common technique used to create a captivating silhouette effect. As Steve positioned himself above the ray, Justin focused on framing the shot. Neither of them could have predicted what would happen next. In a fraction of a second, the stingray's tail lashed out. A rapid, defensive strike. The serrated barb, sharp and venomous, pierced Steve's chest. Not just superficially, but deep. It penetrated his heart, puncturing the very organ that pulsed with life, with passion, with a love for the wild. Justin initially didn't realize the severity of the situation. Steve didn't scream. He surfaced calmly, almost eerily so. Then, he uttered the words that would forever haunt Justin's memory. "I'm dying." The world fell silent. Justin reacted instantly, hauling Steve back onto the inflatable boat. The wound was grievous, blood staining the turquoise water. Steve, in a moment of unimaginable pain, pulled the barb from his chest, a decision that likely accelerated the inevitable. The damage was irreparable. The venom, the trauma to the heart, it was a fatal combination. A desperate race against time began. The crew radioed for help, initiating CPR as the boat sped back towards the research vessel. Justin and the others took turns performing chest compressions and administering mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. They fought with every ounce of their being to keep Steve alive, clinging to a sliver of hope. But it was in vain. At 12:53 p.m., paramedics arrived at Low Isles, but it was too late. Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, the icon, the legend, was pronounced dead. The world stood still. The news spread like wildfire, an unbelievable, agonizing truth. Steve Irwin, killed by a stingray. It seemed impossible. This was a man who had survived countless encounters with some of the world's most dangerous animals. How could a seemingly innocuous creature bring him down? Grief washed over the globe. Fans gathered at Australia Zoo, creating makeshift memorials adorned with flowers, candles, and heartfelt messages. Children left drawings of crocodiles, thanking Steve for his work, for his passion. The outpouring of love and sorrow was immense, a testament to the profound impact Steve had on the world. A public memorial service was held at the Crocoseum at Australia Zoo, a fitting tribute to a man who lived and breathed the wild. Thousands attended, and millions more watched on television. Tributes poured in from celebrities, politicians, and ordinary people whose lives had been touched by Steve's infectious enthusiasm. But it was the words of his 8-year-old daughter, Bindi Irwin, that resonated most deeply. With unwavering courage, she spoke of her father's love, his passion, and his unwavering dedication to wildlife conservation. Her words were a beacon of hope, a promise that Steve's legacy would live on, and it has. Steve Irwin's death was a tragedy, but his life was a triumph. He inspired a generation to care about the planet, to respect animals, and to embrace the wild. His legacy continues to inspire through his family, through Australia Zoo, and through the countless individuals who have been touched by his message. The footage of Steve's final moments exists, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life, but it will never be shown. His wife, Terry, made that decision, believing that the footage does not define his life, but rather ends it. And she is right. Steve's legacy is not in his death, but in the way he lived. Fearless, passionate, and wildly alive. He taught us to love the wild, to protect it, and to never stop exploring its wonders. That is a legacy that no stingray, no tragedy can ever erase.